Hi guys, welcome to GladrapChannel.
Okay, so Terrence Crawford is ranked among is rated the pound-for-pound king. What happens to both fighters should Jeff Horn win?
Well, if Jeff Horn wins, it's a tremendous victory for him. He remains the welterweight champion, and he goes into the records in boxing as one of the most elite fighters in the sport. This would be a massive thing for Horn to beat Crawford, and he would get all the accolades that come with it.
If Horn wins, can you see a rematch happening in Australia?
There is no rematch clause in the contract. If it's a great fight and Horn wins and agrees to fight Crawford in a rematch in Australia, I'm sure Crawford would be amenable to that.
Do you think fighters should fight in horsehair gloves, and do you think they make the sport more dangerous?
The fighters have to fight in gloves approved by the applicable athletic commission. In the United States and around the world, every commission approves the gloves that Crawford has used and uses. They are perfectly fine gloves. They're made out of horsehair and foam. Every state in the United States approves those gloves. The contract between the fighters provides that the fighter can use any brand of glove he chooses as long as the gloves are approved by the applicable athletic commission. And Terrence's gloves have been approved, and if Jeff wants to use the same brand of gloves, he's entitled to it. I do not believe that in any way the gloves that Terrence uses are any more dangerous than any other gloves that boxers use.
If Horn wins, do you see a rematch with Pacquiao being in the cards?
I really can't talk about a rematch between Horn and Pacquiao. I mean, that's up to Manny, who's really approaching the end of his career. But if Horn wins, he becomes the boss, and a lot of elite fighters like Pacquiao and others, I think, will be knocking on his door looking to challenge him.
What is the future for Crawford should he beat Horn?
If Crawford beats Horn, he'll be the welterweight champion, and he will have the opportunity to defend his title in the coming months on ESPN. There are a lot of welterweights in the world that he can fight. There's Errol Spence, there's Garcia, there's Damas. A lot of really good welterweights would step up to challenge Terrence.
So, who is the next big superstar of the welterweight division? Is it Crawford?
I think the winner of this fight between Jeff Horn and Terrence Crawford will be considered the big superstar of the welterweight division.
What percentage chance do you give Crawford of winning this fight?
Listen, when you look at these two fighters, if you talk about boxing skills, there is no question that those belong to Terrence Crawford. But when you talk about size and strength and determination, you have to give Jeff Horn a very, very good chance. I don't know who will win this fight. A lot will depend on the determination of the two boxers. All I know, it will be a good, hard-fought, competitive match.
All of Australia believes Horn has been messed around a large amount in the run-up to this fight, change of venue, change of date, and no clear response on the gloves. Why is Horn being treated with such disrespect?
Well, nobody is treating Horn with disrespect. The fight, as I recall, was to be held in April. Unfortunately, Terrence injured his hands in sparring, went to the top hand doctor in California, and then to his doctor in Omaha, who advised him not to use the hand, let it rest, and then resume his training. The fight was postponed from April to June, and the fight in April was supposed to be in Madison Square Garden, but when the fight was postponed, we noticed that the Garden wouldn't be available for the date that we wanted the fight on, and that we had a perfectly good home at the MGM Grand. And hey, while New York is a great city, look at all the Aussies going to have tremendous fun in Las Vegas with all the nightclubs and restaurants. It'll be a great time. The event taking place on June 9th at the MGM in Las Vegas is going to be special. The fight between Jeff Horn and Terrence Crawford for the welterweight championship will be special. But over and above that, the fact that the fight's in Las Vegas means that an A-list of celebrities have already told us that they're coming to the event, from the music world, from the acting world, from the athletic world. Great basketball stars whose seasons are over are attending. The ringside will be a who's who of very recognizable personalities. Everybody loves to come to Vegas. We have great restaurants. Every major chef has a restaurant here in Las Vegas, and the nightclubs are second to none. So come over, Aussies. Join us in Las Vegas on June 9th for a tremendous time.
There's a belief that Crawford's injury was not legitimate and just a way to delay the fight so that you guys could launch the ESPN app properly. And if Crawford does indeed have a hand injury, why is he wearing to choose gloves that many people think would lead to more injuries?
Anybody who doubts whether Terrence had an injury to his hand should consult with Dr. Steve Shin at the Job Curlin Orthopedic Center. Steve Shin is the leading hand doctor in the world. I'm sure I can get Terrence to agree to have his records released, and believe me, I've seen the records, and they clearly show an injury, which thank God have now been cleared. As far as the gloves are concerned, I don't believe that the use of the gloves that Terrence employs, and which many other fighters use, contribute in any way to added hand injuries.
Is Crawford's lack of profile and media skills, does that hold him back in terms of his size of his paydays and all that all comes with it?
Terrence Bud Crawford is a tremendous fighter. Great skills. He's a nice young man. He comes from the Midwestern part of the country where the kids tend to be a little laid back. They're not as upfront as young people from the East, where New York, Philadelphia, or from the West, LA and San Francisco. Kids from the farm countries, like Nebraska, where Terrence is from, tend to be relatively soft-spoken and not in your face. Does that hurt Terrence with his marketability? Maybe. But again, Terrence is going to either be a star or not be a star, either be the main guy on the block or not the main guy on the block. Not really necessarily by where he comes from or the type of personality, but by the kind of skills he demonstrates in the ring.